You'd be saddled with maintaining. Well, that's not true. PyGUI is extremely well maintained for some reason. I think there's a commit yesterday. And IMGUI as well has a really strong community behind it. Not mutually exclusive. Yeah, that's what I was trying to get at before. I always thought that the Jupyter stuff would be good as a plugin. What is this going to be? Selected scene. Gear PyGUI dot. Was it like get value or something? Dot core dot get value. Selected scene. Okay, so hopefully so maybe now when I switch. No, it didn't delete it. Don't know why. Although this one doesn't work anymore. So I guess that's not how you do that. Maybe I'll print the name of this. Course that in Manim exercise notebook sheets I can picture. Yeah. So I think it's definitely possible to embed things like MP4 files. Like that wouldn't be hard to do. Oh, that wasn't the right string. Oh no, that was the right string. Yeah, just previous scene header on its own. Oh, it's that and then space widgets. Oh, but that was saved to previous scene header, so yeah, I can't delete windows, I guess. Although that seems really strange. It seems like you should be able to delete windows. Weird. Okay, but what I was saying before is that this sort of interaction I don't think is, in general, portable to Jupyter. This is like interaction with the canvas. I mean, this like dragging stuff can be, but if these were callbacks that ran Python code, then at that point, the Jupyter Notebook would have to do some sort of IPC with Python. I still don't get it. Why is it this hard to delete? Okay, I'm gonna try this again. I'm gonna rerun. And nothing happened that time, actually. I'm gonna switch. Selected scene object test 2. Yeah, it's object test without the space widgets. Send examples in Discord. Yeah, that's fine. Whoops. I think this actually needs... Does this need the global? This is actually confusing me. Why did this print selected scene object test 2? That must be printing from somewhere else. Oh, that's the callback. So let me print... something like this so I can distinguish it. And now if I switch the scene, it's empty. So it isn't passing the right string. So this needs the global So this needs the global. So that it'll write to the global version, and maybe now, when I switch, that removes it, and nothing crashes. Although it doesn't come back. Although that would make sense. So now the question is, would I, instead of updating this window, instead just delete the window and recreate it? And then actually every time I stop, I could just delete the window and recreate it. Although I don't know if I can do that as long as it's only a collapsing header. Because I can't delete only the header, I think. Actually, maybe I can't. Well, I think I can delete only the header. Actually, that's not a problem either. I could delete the entire thing and recreate it. Although that could get potentially slow. So is it worth recreating everything each time? It probably isn't. If I'm being honest, it's probably better to just keep track of what's there and delete the things that aren't there anymore. That would be the more efficient approach. So I won't do this stuff. And I'll have to find a way to keep this list up to date. So the ones are rerun, selected scene, and then various widgets. Rerun, selected scene. Manim GUI isn't an item. Actually, you'd never delete those, so I don't think this needs to be here. So I need previous scene items. And this is what I want. Then, when I add one, I can add that name. I can add in that name. Then, when I'm updating here, current and then updated previous scene items. Remember to have this global here. And this has to have the global too. And now, when I update an item, this is going to be the current items. Well, updated items already is set, so that's fine. So at the end, I'll end up saying pretty much this. Previous scene items equals list of current items. So maybe now... Oh, and this shouldn't be get all items. This should be previous scene item. Okay. So I get all the previous scene items, and I have the updated items. And then I'm gonna build this set of updated items. Eventually, the previous scene items will be the current items. No, that should be the updated items. Okay, so maybe now this has the right ones. So mesh to opacity, this is the one that it would delete. And I guess this means that it didn't find anything. I'm not totally sure what this message means. So now, I'll actually keep the name there. I'll say so now, I'll actually keep the name there. I'll say deleting this. Then when I switch to this example, I'll say deleting that when I come back. It didn't add it. So there's something missing with adding it back. But the deletion worked. So why would the adding it back fail? Previous scene items, that would be nothing, I think. I wish I could just use PDB here. But would conflict with the terminal thread. If name in current items, this should be nothing. So here I'll print updating this name. Here I'll print adding that name. So I can switch and this will disappear. And then I switch back, adding to mesh to opacity. That seems right. Okay. So to get the config, do this. Why would this fail? Maybe it could be... Maybe you can't just add to a window like that. Maybe you can't add to a window? Could that be true? Like you can only do it within this with block? That would actually make sense. Whenever I add any of these, I'm doing it within this with whatever. Dang, I might have to actually delete and recreate the windows. Oh well. At least I know it doesn't work. So I won't try to do that again. Okay, let me see this. If so, the link is outdated or incorrect. Recheck the link for typos or ask the person. I wonder if Twitch did something with the... blah, 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 slash Jupyter Lab demo. Just click the here. Oh. You might expect me to know how to use Jupyter notebooks. However, is this what it's supposed to be like? Okay. Okay, so this builds the window from scratch. I think I'm going to end up deleting this window and building it from scratch every time. Unfortunately. I guess the code will be simpler this way, though. Since all I'm going to end up doing is doing dear PyGUI.core.delete item. Now look at the name of that window, which is always Manim GUI. And then just run this code again, pretty much. Jupyter Lab documentation and tried this. I have seen this before. I have seen this before. I'll give that some time to run. So for this to work, I'll still need the rerun callback. Actually, I'll need all of this. Not this. But I'll need this setup. These are going to be pretty much the same functions. Still need that, still need that. PyGUI simple collapsing header. Previous scene items. Oh, I don't need that. Okay, so this should be just deleting it here. And then recreating one. I won't have to run start PyGUI. Start dear PyGUI though. Yeah, I don't think I need... I might not need this at all, actually. Let me try removing that too. Yeah, that's fine. Now if I switch... Yeah, there's no widgets here, which is great. Then I switch again. Yeah. Anyway, did it. I wonder if it... I think it's a fine user experience to recreate this window when you switch scenes, because you shouldn't switch between scenes that often. Like, scenes generally do pretty different things. And even so, it's really fast. Okay. So basically you can do stuff like this. Oh, whoops. And then it's like shift enter. I'm sure it's like... I go to demo. Nope. Data. Lawrence. I tried to run it. The other one. Oh. Okay. I've actually never come across Jupyter Notebook since school. You have to run it sequentially? Man. But my attention span... Okay, so there's these sliders. I see, I see. Even just looking at this seems to be... Maybe it's not that optimized? I feel like this isn't using WebGL. Although I think it probably could. Just an example. Yeah, I understand. Gotcha. What's probably... It's sort of a question of maybe the right way to approach this is to have some sort of... Actually... Have some sort of correspondence between completed scenes and Jupyter Notebook. scene so that you could output something like this that was interactive in the way that this is interactive. Or said another way, it isn't clear to me that Jupiter needs to be a first-class citizen, quote unquote, to Manim. Maybe the correct approach to this is to have a compatibility layer between Manim and maybe the correct approach to this is to have a compatibility layer between Manim and IPython notebooks. Like if you can design so that the logic will be reused across UIs. Well, the UI that I'm building right now isn't to be used by the end user. Like my conception of this is that the Jupyter notebooks will be used by, this will be to like present your work. You'd want something like a Jupyter notebook that you could share with a link. But at the point where you have this, you wouldn't want to have widgets for like adjusting stylistic stuff. If there are objects within a scene that you want to interact with, that interaction should be restrained to the scene. For example, in the Quaternion video, it has a UI, but that UI is within the scene. Let me just choose one of these at random.
So in this section of the applet, the entire
Yeah, okay. It isn't like separately there's UI on the side and you have sliders, whatever. You just interact with things on the scene, you know what I mean? And I feel that this is the way that you should interact with the final product. However, while you're developing, you'll just want a fast way to hook into arbitrary code with the UI, and that's what this is meant to accomplish. If all of that rambling made sense. This has orbit controls too. You can't right-click though. It might make sense to reuse some of these across components and objects. Reuse. Yeah, I think these should be reusable. The GUI, which is within a scene, should definitely be reusable. Okay, yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. I'm just playing with quaternions now. What was this even teaching? I forgot. It's like a vector. No, this is showing a 3D projection of a 4D hypersphere as the hypersphere is rotated. I think. Anyway. What was I even doing? Oh, I did it, right? I switched. These look magnifique. I just love the tech rendering. Yeah, tech is pretty nice. Okay. So, it doesn't make sense for that window to be there if there aren't any. Okay, first of all, these should be the same function or very similar functions. So this is running PyGUI with rendering widgets. This is running update PyGUI with rendering widgets. So is dear PyGUI running? I just need an else. And here's where I'll update it. And these will be very similar. Is there a KWArgs you can pass to a thread? Have you read the documentation? Why would I do that when I can search Stack Overflow? I mean, okay, this is how I'm going to show off about Google for a second. Google is so good that it's faster to just type in whatever and search it there than it is to type in X documentation. Oh, I didn't even do that right. Isn't it like this? Hope that works, and then I'll pass that argument the first time. Hope that works, and then I'll pass that argument the first time. Then on the update calls, I'll still use the PyGUI function, but I'll default this to false, I guess. They'll help you, but they'll berate you first. So true. That's super true. Sometimes they'll even berate you if you ask a good question. So now the target. Update PyGUI. This is also PyGUI. Okay, is this everything I want? Because if so, then I can delete the update PyGUI function. So that works. I can switch. That did not work. I feel like I would be making less mistakes with this if I weren't talking and stuff. If not, start. Okay. If not start PyTree, this means you're updating. Shouldn't it be like update equals a GUI? Oh yeah, we got one of those. Yeah, this stardom just makes my life so difficult. Okay, maybe that worked. So that does what it's supposed to do. I can switch. Well, I switched to the same one. So maybe that's why that broke. Nope, still broken. Dang! Previous scene header. Oh, I think I don't have to do that. Okay, I'm undoing whatever it's doing because it was working before. So like this, I think it was working. Nope, something else is broken. Ah. Is this how I had it? This is before I added that else. And before I added the keyword, I think this is what worked. Or if I switch this, okay, it actually updates. And if I switch back, it still updates and works. And if I rerun, okay, so that's perfect. Now I have to combine these. My gosh, that looks so great. Thanks. I did it all by myself. Except for the library and the library that library depends on. But other than that, I did it all by myself. Okay, I'm just gonna pass something like update equals true. I can actually default that to true. And I want to only delete if you're updating. Because otherwise there's nothing to delete. So this should do the exact same thing. Live isn't it's working, but this... It's actually going to be quite a while before I can PR this to the library. Because there are some... Like, the GUI that you see here won't even run on the 3B1B code. I have a lot of local changes. So if not update, then you start. So this should also do the same thing.